So I took a massive loss today. Even with only $314 left, I still managed to lose pretty much $100, like nearly $100. And there was something else that was good for a while, and you're going to see that I missed it. And I just said, you know what, I'm done trading for today. Because I used most of my buying power to purchase something, and then I lost most of that, or I lost a big amount. Even I sold even below my stop loss. So I waited for what I believed was the right setup, and it even went right, but only for a little while because it came back down. So now my total lifetime portfolio is now officially at the lowest point that it's ever been. But I learned a new lesson today, which should always be the result of losses. You should learn some type of lesson from every loss, and you should remember that lesson. So from now on, what I'm going to do is as soon as I buy something, I'm going to have my hand sitting right on that sell order. That way, if it doesn't resolve where I want it to, I always have the option to sell everything and just bail, because it's better to take 73 cents of profit like I did yesterday on the 16th rather than to hold something. Even if it comes back up to $800 or something like that, my only goal is to abide by my stop loss. I'm no longer going to feel fear of missing out. I didn't feel fear of missing out when the stock I sold out on came back up a little bit, but just acceptance of the fact that I abided by my stop loss, and I sold it because it was under my loss. And yeah, that's what happened today. But selling at the stop loss is all that matters. Nothing after that. You just follow what you're supposed to. It fell down so quickly I couldn't even really sell close to my stop loss, or it was approaching my stop loss, but I thought it would come back up. It did, and then it eventually fell back down. I stayed on the 5-minute chart. That's the problem. By the time I sold, it was already way under. But it's a learning opportunity for me. And the problem is the problem. I left it on the 5-minute chart after I made a purchase. What I also want to do is, if I'm buying something based off the 5-minute chart, I will definitely have to switch to the 1-minute chart. And what you're going to see today, especially around 8:55, 9 a.m., if you want to skip over there, VVOS came all the way back down to like being only 2% up and even less than 1% gain on the day. This was in a matter of minutes. So these people really aren't letting anything go up significantly, which is fine. The markets can be like that. I just have to be able to react to it. This week is really the revenge of the short sellers. Before September 8th, nothing went up, but on the week of September 8th, stuff started exploding. And now on this week, stuff explodes, but for a short while. Then it gives all the way back and just plummets. It takes a nosedive after that rocket, instead of staying up, which it did last week, the week of September 8th. And yeah. And this, it's like these, well, it's fine. It's fine if nothing goes up. If nothing stays up, I just have to be able to react to it. So this is the type of stuff that actually makes casuals quit trading permanently, either because they lose all their money or they still have money, but they just get discouraged by the type of losses they take. Like this one, even though it feels like a scam, like that's an emotion when you feel like you've been scammed or something. The problem is that I did not sell quickly for that small amount of time that I was green. And a big reason why so many people quit is because they never decided that they were going to go all in on this. Like, they weren't forced into this position like I was. When I had a regular job, I would take losses, but I wouldn't actually write down lessons that I could take away from every loss. And that's what really helped me back. That's what really held me back these first 6 months of day trading, because I never felt like I had to go all the way into it, because I would go to work that same day before I lost my job in June. And I was still stubborn. I was still not taking it serious because I thought I would have a job by now, or get that old job back. So there were times where I would take massive losses and I would just not look at the market for a while, like for a couple days maybe. And I don't have to take a trade. Nowadays, I know I don't have to take a trade every day, but I do have to look at the market every day, that I'm able to, at least. And I could also work on selling something before it actually hits my stop loss and also before it even hits my break even, because it was falling and it started to approach my stop loss, but I didn't want to go red after I had been green for a while. So I can just work on that as well. There's some emotion for that as well, not wanting to sell when it's approaching the stop loss. And I also want to make sure I don't turn this loss into an even bigger one. So even after this loss, I was down by so much money and I already spent so much money buying that stock. Now I have $14 and change left. And I decided to be extremely patient still and look around and not let emotion take over, because you're just going to give back more in that case. So I'm at the 6 month mark, just after the 6 month mark. And, how many day traders do you think make it past 1 year? I mean, the most hilarious thing is that when I'm making $1,000 a day, one day or something like that, and everybody's crying about how they want to be me all of a sudden. At this 6 month period, I'm starting to take lessons from every loss and I'm writing them all down, because I've already decided I'm never going to go back to working another regular job again. Well, I'm in the process of getting a work from home job. But, I absolutely hated all the aspects of the regular jobs I had. Well, besides the friends and stuff like that. But I know nobody's going to watch a 20-minute video from someone with less than 2,000 subscribers, but yeah, I made a video talking about that. The job market screwed me over, and I'm done with that. Like, I'm going to figure this out, because I've already decided I'm not going to quit on this. The amount of money I see people make from day trading is like astronomical, and if I made even a fraction of what I've seen experienced day traders make, I would be set for life. Like, sometimes the money they make in a day could pay all my expenses for 1 year. So, right now I'm just learning how to fish. And again, a lot of people who don't care about this video now, I might still have only a few subscribers even in the future. Who knows? A lot of you guys right now are not tuning in, and you're like, well, I'm glad I'm not that guy. Those people with normal jobs. But how many people, the thing is, how many people want to be me, are going to want to be me when I actually am consistently profitable? Like, the losses are part of the path to success. Like, you just have to make sure you react to losses the right way. I'm absolutely not fucking going back to working a regular job. Like, and that's the thing about this picture. The pathway also has failures as well as self-discipline, right? I'm not going back. When I had a regular job, having to work 60 hours a week to barely pay for shit, no vacation, and hopefully no emergencies, because you need to be constantly working and you will never have enough money to take a significant amount of time off or enough money to experience certain amenities or certain luxuries beyond just basic means, right? Barely being able to pay for shit. These traders make in a few minutes more than what I make in a year sometimes. In 5 years, I'm going to be 30 years old. Like, imagine where I'll be, the fact that I'm learning all these lessons now while I'm 6 months into this. Like, in the next 6 months, I'll be 26. Only 26. That's young. That's super young. I'm actually going to pull out a new sheet of notebook paper and just write everything down, because the sheets of paper I have now are like very stacked with information, because I'm really not playing about this. I'm determined to learn this and become consistent at it no matter what, because like right now I'm at the lowest point, but I'm the most encouraged. So like, do you want something that's not guaranteed? No scheduled raises, but you could make $10,000 in a month within the first year? Or would you rather have a consistent job with scheduled raises, but they're tiny, and the job has the illusion of security? Because there's no guarantee of security with regular jobs these days. You can ask me how that turned out for me after living on my own for 3 years. But even with that regular job, the pay was super low. And you can never imagine making $10,000 a month in today's money, US dollars, or yeah. And that's why, or the equivalent of that. That's why I'm also on YouTube, because I'm leaning more towards fast money that I can make in a short amount of time while I'm still young. Nobody's forcing anyone to stay in trading. So, I mean, if you want to go back to a normal job, you can go do that. Work at middle management and make okay money. for all the people who quit trading. Or like me, you can work. You can only be qualified to work the type of jobs where you're doing a delivery driver, or some people are in that same area of qualification. They're mopping the floor at Wendy's or something, like what J. Cole said when he said, "I can't be mopping at Wendy's," or doing stuff like that. Even with qualifications, you still it's like, what's the likelihood of you finding a high paying job that actually acknowledges those qualifications and needs them and pays you accordingly? Even with qualifications, you could, where you still have to work 1 million hours and hope you never have an emergency, and also accept that you're never going to be able to take vacations. And, there was one UPS driver that worked for like 30 years or something. And the person behind the camera was asking this elderly gentleman what he was about to do. I still think he's young, but just older. The person behind the camera was saying, "Hey, what do you want to do, Unc?" or something like that. And the retiree was talking about how he was finally planning a European trip and a trip to Africa and the Caribbean and stuff like that. I said to myself, he's been scammed out of his time. Or maybe that's just the old system, that was how it was, and that was a way of thinking. And to an extent, it works for some people. I was told to get a normal job, and look where that led me. The richest people in the world don't have regular jobs, and a lot of times they press a button and take jobs away from people who need it. So, the richest people, they didn't get to their current position by going up to someone and asking for a job, like, "Hey, I can work for you," and this type of stuff. Of course, you have to be a worker drone, like just a bot. You got to basically be that worker ant when it's your time to do that. And I did that when it was my time to do that, because I worked those 12-hour shifts, those 60-hour weeks, but that time is over now for me. I'm more motivated than I've ever been, so I'm going to write down my most important things to look out for and put them down on paper. And I'm going to be one of the best traders in the world. That's my goal. $100,000 a month, that'll turn into $100,000 a week. $10,000 a month will turn into 100,000, and then if I just focus on 100,000, it'll be 100,000 a month and 100,000 a week, and even over $100,000 in a day. Right? I'm at the lowest point I've ever been, and you can save this video or you can forget about it. But yeah, that's my goal, to be like one of the best traders in the world, 100,000 plus in a day. Okay, so this is the old version that I wrote many weeks ago. And then this was actually before, I think it was in August around that time. And then I also wrote this on that same day. And then I had this down for a while. And I had I had this after I had a loss a few weeks ago. Because after this, I added over $1,000. Before and then I was supposed to follow this paper. But the Friday after, I added $1,000. So that's when I wrote these two papers. And then I wrote this, I think the week after, I'm not sure. And then I wrote this last week, and then I wrote this today, and I wrote this today, and I also wrote this today, and I also wrote this today. Those 4 things in the bubbles. And then this is the first draft of what I just wrote today. I wrote an entirely new paper. And then this is the final draft. Brother, I wrote so much today, I can actually smell the ink, bro. It's not really out of frustration, just out of hey, we need to tighten this, and we need to make sure it's simple and concise, rules I can follow and memorize.